Thank you very much. Hi everybody, my name's Marcy. I'm going to talk to you about reflective practice, for campaigners. And it follows on really well from Sarah's talk, as you'll see in a moment. So, why think about reflective practice? Duncan Green, in his book, How Change Happens, talks about how activists could use with becoming reflectivists. And he says that we need reflection in order to think about complex systems and the constant and emerging change that we're trying to deal with. And you're thinking, God, yet something, another process to think about in campaigning. But the reason to think about complex systems, I don't need to tell you, your campaigners, you're trying to intervene in complex systems the whole time. And you're also part of complex systems in the places that you work, in your organizations, in your sector, in your profession. And additionally, you are internally, each of us internally, is a complex system of history and language and culture and family and personality and beliefs. And all those levels interact, which is a lot of complexity. Now, I'm just going to focus on the systems that we are part of in our work, in how we work. And reflective practice is based on the work of somebody called Gibbs, who came up with reflective cycle as a learning process. And as you can see, it looks very similar to the kind of evaluation process that you might go through for projects. You describe what's happened, but then you get to the feelings and you say, so how did I feel about that? That's the bit that connects with Sarah's talk. You then go on to evaluate, was it good, was it bad, did it work? You describe again the sense that you can make from it, what sort of conclusions you can draw, and what kind of action plan you want to have in place for the next time round. And we'll continue on the track of what happens with those feelings, because increasingly at work, we bring not just our professional know-how and our intellect and our education and experience, but we also are expected to bring attitudes and social skills and our empathy and adaptability and things like a sense of humor and whatnot. So that's a lot of personal resources that we are bringing to our work. And if you're a campaigner, the likelihood is you're doing something that you really believe in, and so you're bringing a lot of yourself into your work. Now, we also bring, because we're social animals, we're also bringing awareness of power dynamics in the places that we work, our need for belonging, for recognition, for status, our own prejudices, our own unconscious biases, our feelings of competition and envy, all sorts of stuff that's really quite uncomfortable and difficult, and we don't always know what to do with. So, gonna have a show of hands. Who feels that in their work they're supported in expressing and developing their personal skills? Okay, you don't need reflective practice. You're already doing it. And how supported do you feel in acknowledging and dealing with your less positive attitudes? Oh, fewer hands. Okay, that's interesting. So, reflective practice, what is it? It's providing a space to bring more awareness of ourselves at work. And it acknowledges emotional and mental states. It doesn't necessarily try to resolve them in that context, but it does acknowledge them. And it brings awareness of personal dynamics that affect how we work. So I'll just give you a quick example. I was asked by a board of trustees to help them with their group process because they were finding that they couldn't allocate any of the tasks. They couldn't get on with their work because nobody was volunteering to do things. Everybody was too busy, too stressed. And so they invited me to a meeting, and I came along, and as they were starting, I said, would you be up for starting the meeting with a 5-minute check-in So just saying how you're feeling and how you're feeling about the work today. And so they did that, and then they carried on with the agenda. And then we got to my item, which was, they had primed me. What they wanted was a Gantt chart, and they wanted accountability for who was going to be doing what, and timescales for how to kind of project manage what they were trying to do. And so I got them to do another round, and I asked them, what would you like to happen next in terms of your work? And over half of the group said, we want to know about more little things that we can do, like that question you asked us at the beginning. And it just transformed, that moment of checking in had transformed their sense of being in the room. And they were able to, in fact, allocate the work without any extra processes, official processes being put in place. And then we did spend a lot more time building in more reflective practice and check-in times for them to use when they got into trouble. So how to do this? A lot of you already have a lot of skills, of course, in facilitating groups, running groups, convening groups. For best results, actually, I think I'm going to just skip through some of this stuff because you know it. And you can always look it up. It's all up on SlideShare. I think the really crucial thing is what you gain from it, which is that acknowledging feelings really transforms interactions at work, can do. Opening up spaces can enable difficult conversations that there's rarely space for. Learning from failure is something that we all really like the sound of, but doesn't happen often, happens more often, and you get a lot more motivated people. So you can, as you can see from that, it's just a quick list of things that you could try, and if you want to come and think of more things to try as tips and tricks and playful ways of thinking of how to incorporate reflective practice, come along tomorrow to an open session.